Hi everyone, this is Michael Choate for Locker Room Talk. I'm here with men's basketball head coach for Boston University, Joe Jones. Joe, first of all, I just want to thank you for giving your time today.
No problem, man.
Alright, so let's get started with the questions. So, given that basketball is a sport where there's a lot of supply but not as much demand, how do you narrow down your recruit list?
Oh, God, this is supply, but not as much. Well, there's a lot of players. That's one thing, right? So there's a ton of players. Obviously, there are less players that can help you out of all the players that are out there, right? And so, first of all, now it's so different now than it was when I first got into this in the 90s because of the internet and there's so many more AAU teams, there's so many more kids playing basketball, and there's so much access now to information that we didn't have before. So the first thing we use is we really look at regions, and for us, we really try to concentrate on the Northeast, really try to, the New England area, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and then down in DC, Northern Virginia. We really try to hit that hard. North Carolina has been a good state for us. Florida's a good state. Chicago's has been very good. California, we have three freshmen from California, and Texas. Those are kind of the areas that we plug in the most. And you would think you only have 13 scholarships, right? And there's 3 to 4 guys a year. So if you look at those areas, you should be able to find guys that fit your needs. But then we'll look in Canada, we'll look at other states as well if we have a contact or we hear about a kid. So now we concentrate on those states. We get our information from coaches that we know in those areas, AAU teams that we know and that are in those areas when we go to different events. And then there are scouting services that we use for those regions as well. And so from word of mouth, the AAU coach, contacts that we have, and then the scouting services, we think we can come up with a pretty good list that match what we're looking for in terms of the level of student athlete that we're looking for.
All right. So given that demand for basketball may not be as high as supply, what is your advice for those towards the middle bottom of the pack that are looking to get a foot in the door?
In terms of getting a scholarship?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the big thing is exposure, right? You need exposure. And so sometimes, you may not be someone that people know about. So one thing is you need to send information, contact coaches yourself through email, through video. That's always helpful. Have your high school coach or AAU coach contact the college coach directly. That helps. I would probably stay away from the parent calling, but I would have the kids send the information, the parents send the information, but then I would have the coach call on the young man's behalf. And then I would try to get exposure, right? So some of this is trying to get to, if you're not on a good AAU team, trying to get to a good camp. So the Hoop Group camp that's out in Jersey or Pennsylvania, they have that. Those are really good camps because they're academic camps as well. They tend to draw kids that are good students. So that's one of the camps that we tend to go to get more names, or go see a kid that's not on the AAU circuit. All right. So then the last thing I would say is trying to get on a good AAU team that's going to go to the major tournaments that college coaches go to.
All right. So athletes use highlight videos to demonstrate their best work, but sometimes it may be difficult for athletes to narrow down their list of the best plays. Do you have any advice for athletes on determining what plays to include and what to leave out?
I think you got to kind of fit. I think you have to know yourself more maybe than some of the kids know themselves at this point. It's kind of hard to kind of know, okay, what don't I like, what do I like? For instance, you may not want to go to a big school, right? You may want to go to a smaller school. You may want to stay in your region. You may not want to go outside your region. You may want to go in warm weather. You may not care about that. You may want to go to a school that has your major. You may want to go to a school that has a ton of different majors because you're not sure what you want to study. I think there's a lot of things. Then you have to know your level. What level of player are you? And I think you have to ask your coaches where you think you can play. And from that, I think you're kind of able to. And there's more questions you have to ask yourself. But the more questions that you're able to answer, the better you're going to be able to figure out what's the best fit for you. In terms of when you're going out and you're looking for certain schools.
All right. So social media can play a very big role in how a college sees you. What do you think are some red flags on an athlete's account that could affect their chances of playing for
Yeah, obviously the same things that would affect somebody's employment somewhere. You want to make sure you're representing yourself in the right sense when you're on social media. You know, no cursing, you know, no outlandish behavior that you're giving off. You know, you want to be able to show someone that is going to be reliable, somebody that's going to be dependable, somebody that's going to represent the university in the best sense. And nobody wants a guy that or a young lady that's going to be out socially doing things that, you know, coaches are going to frown upon. You know, that's partying too much, or, you know, acting in a fashion that's going to embarrass the university. So, you know, those things you want to be careful for. And I would be really careful of the things that I'm retweeting. I want to stay away from things that are, you know, if somebody read, they would have a different opinion about you as a person. And so just trying to stay away from that and trying to use correct language.
I think that's something I'd completely agree with. So official visits are an awesome way to give a college team their first impression of you. Do you have any advice for recruits on how to make the most of a?
Yeah, I think the first thing is talk to all the kids on the team. Don't just talk to the kid that they're going to stick you with. You know, because they're really going to stick you with somebody that's one of their better players, or someone that is going to be very positive about their experience. So I would talk to the walk-ons and see how those guys are treated, and the best players and the guys in between. I would try to talk to even the guys that I'm not going to be playing with, because they've been in the program for 4 years and they kind of know the ins and outs of it. So I would really talk to those guys. I would do my homework on the style of play, because style of play leads to a lot of issues for kids in basketball, meaning that, you know, a lot of kids want to play an up and down tempo. You know, you don't want to go to a place where they play slow down basketball. So you got to know the style of play that you would like to play and see how your game fits in with that. And don't use what they're telling you, the coaches are telling you, in terms of how they're going to play. Look at it yourself. You know, there's a ton of websites that you can use to go and see how they play, to see if that fits with you. I would do less of listening to what the coach is telling me and more the facts behind what he's saying. You know, so if he's saying, hey, I play freshmen, I'd go and see how many freshmen he's played in the last 5 years, or I would ask that question and I would look for feedback from that. You know, because coaches tend to tell kids what they want to hear to get them. But I would do as much research as I can on the school without them telling me the facts. I want to see the facts in writing, or be able to visualize what those facts may be. And so when I'm going for an official visit, I want to have that in my head of what questions I want to ask and then what I want to see. You know, I would make sure on my official visit that I talked to the coach, the head coach, one-on-one, and not just the assistants. That I spent time with him, because the head coach is the one that's going to be making the decisions. I would make sure they were in need of my position and how I was going to fit in, and I would ask specifically how I fit in with the players that they have around them. I'd be really leery of a school that told me I was going to start, because if they're telling you that, they're probably telling other guys that the same thing. There can be only five guys that start in basketball, so I'd be careful of things like that. I'd represent myself in the right way. I would look for things like, you know, I would ask questions about how much time, you know, are we practicing per day? What's the scheduling look like? What's my time constraints? You know, if I had other interests outside of basketball, you know, can I expand my interests? Can I be involved in a club? Can I get an internship? These are things that I'd have questions about if those things were important to me. And I'd you know, try to get a sense of what life is like for kids that are in school there, that play sports. I think you have to have a feel for what that's like. You know, because when you're on an official visit, you know, that's going to be a little different. It's mainly on the weekend. It's going to be some Friday, sometimes Thursday they come in, but having a sense of what school is like on a regular day, you know, and being you know, can you see yourself there on a regular day? I would try to stay away from visiting just on Saturday, Sunday, because that's a completely different experience that you're going to have if you're there during the day. I would spend time with the players socially, not just one guy. I want to be around most of the team. I want to see how those guys act. I want to see if their interests align with mine. You know, do their values align with mine? No matter what they say, the players are going to have as big of an impact on you as anybody. You know, so that's what I want. I want to get a sense of that. Then I want to get a sense of the school, and, you know, and what the school is like. You know, so those are some of the things that I would look for on an official visit.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, on the other hand, a recruiting visit may also lead to the school's decision not to continue
Yeah.
contact with the
Yeah.
player.
Yeah.
So, what do you think are some red flags that might lead to that?
Well, guys that just are not coachable. They're not guys. They're not coming on time to things that you're trying to do. They're arrogant. They're not saying thank you. They don't get along with your players when they're there. Guys that care more about playing time than winning. That are unrealistic of their view of how good they are. Some of those things I've stopped recruiting guys because, and if the parents are way too involved, and they have an unrealistic view of what the kid is. Those are people that I've had red flags about that I've stopped recruiting.
Okay, so a lot of the types of recruiting questions are geared toward what a coach is looking for in potential newcomers. Is there anything particular that you'd rather not see in somebody, just like in general?
What I wouldn't see?
Yeah.
First of all, I want to see a level of humility. So I don't want to see arrogance. I don't want to see someone that plays selfishly. I want to see unselfish play. I don't want to see a kid that doesn't understand how to play. So I want to see a guy that understands the game. Someone that makes his teammates better. And I want to see a guy behave in the right fashion. I don't want to see a guy that's got bad behavior, bad body language, someone that you can't talk to. Those are things I want to stay away from if I was a recruit.
All right. So last question. So from what I read online, you've coached for a lot of different colleges. So which have you enjoyed the most?
I know I've enjoyed being here the most. And I know that's easy to say because I'm here, but I really think BU really gets it. And when I say that is, I think this is a place where it really stretches you as a student athlete, that you're going to really have to get after it in the classroom and as an athlete in a particular sport. It's going to challenge you. Academically, it's not going to back down. It's not a place that your coaches can call and have an impact on your grades. You need to be able to handle things on your own. Get support from the academic people here and also the faculty and staff. But this is not a place where you're going to have to really figure those things out on your own if you want to be successful here. And the thing is, if you're successful here, I really think it puts you in a position to be successful after you graduate. I think that's what I think this place does the best job of really challenging and stretching our students and our student athletes and helping them understand how to be successful. And I see it in the development of my guys, in the maturity of my guys year in and year out as they come in as freshmen and they mature through this. It's not just me and my staff that are helping that development. I think our athletic administration does a good job of that, but I think our faculty and staff does a fascinating job of helping our guys mature and develop.
Yeah, as someone who plays the sport here, I can absolutely attest to all of that. I feel like I've grown and matured as a person a lot too. But yeah, thank you again for your time. Make sure to give Locker Room Talk a follow if you can.
I will definitely do that.
So yeah, thank you so much.
You got it, buddy.